For this video, I am going to show you how to calculate the Pearson R using Excel. So this will be your first actual statistics to find out what is the correlation coefficient for the resiliency scale and your stress scale. The first thing I want to do is I like to add a new sheet, so I have all these different statistical tests on their own sheet. So type in here correlation. And then we'll go back to the data and select the total resiliency scores. Copy them. Take them over to correlation and paste. You'll notice that if you try to paste the first one, you're going to get some kind of error. That's because those cells contain a formula where we added up all the scores. So go over to values only. Go back to data. Highlight your stress scores. And copy those. Go into correlation and paste. Again, paste the values only. I'm going to make the title, the labels, let's bold them so we know that they're labels, and then center them. I just like my data to look a little cleaner. Well, now we have the total scores for everybody on the resilience, and we have your total stress scores. And we want to see, is there a relationship between your resilience, how much resilience you have, and how much stress you have. So put your cursor anywhere here, and we are going to go to data, and then click on the data analysis, and we're going to click on correlation. You have a lot to choose from here. Click on correlation. Okay. And since I've been in here before, it gives me my range already. So yours is going to look like this, and you're not going to have an output range. It's probably going to look like a new workbook when you get it, or worksheet. So we want output range, we want that, and we want input range. Input is all our data points. These are all the data points that we have. And I make sure that labels are checked. Labels in first row are checked because you can see that we highlighted our labels. Output range is where do I want my data to land. I want it up here somewhere. So my results, I want them out here. The output of the Excel. So click OK. And here is the results. The result for you, that is the R value right there. R value is negative 0.04. And if you go back, I have it on my validation sheet, so just so I can show it to you. If you go back and you look at the Pearson R, 1.0 is a perfect correlation, 0.8 is a strong, 0.6 to 0.8 is a strong, moderate, 0.2 to 0.3.9 is a weak. Ours is 0.04, a very weak or no correlation. It's like, yes, very, very weak correlation. So you're looking at ours as 0.04. That is a negative, slightly negative correlation, meaning that as resiliency goes up, stress goes down by a fraction. Now, what does that look like in a histogram? On the scatter plot, not a histogram, but a scatter plot. Let's create this into a scatter plot. So first thing we do is we highlight the data again, all the data points and the labels. Then we go to Insert, and we go over here to Charts. In the one right here, click on Insert. We want the plain scattered plot like this. So click on that, and that'll show you where our lines or where our data lands. Now there's a lot of space over here that we're not using because we had no scores from 0 to 100. So let's change that axis a little bit. Click on the axis. So clicking on the Just click on one of the numbers, it'll highlight that x-axis here. And we want elements or options, chart options or elements. Let's go to axis. Axis options. You can also click on the chart itself to format the chart, but over here the elements are a pretty easy place to find it. What do we want? We want more options. Let's see, chart area. Nope, that's not what I want. I want axis. Okay, I'm going to go back. I don't want format chart area. I want to format the, I'll go back over here. Oops. More axis options. I want axis options. Okay, that's where I found it. So if I go back, I'll do it again for you guys to format the shape so you can find it easier. I want to create a chart. Sometimes it's just a bunch of clicks until you finally figure it out. But here we go. So I want to change this. I can go to do the axis, more axis options. And if it doesn't show up as this, click on the axis options here and it'll pop up. So these are the axis options. And what it shows here is the minimum bounds. So the x-axis goes from 0 to 200. And here it shows 0 to 200. I have nothing between 0 and 100. So it's just a lot of wasted space. So let's change this one to 100. Hit enter. So now our chart looks a little bit better. I might also want my chart title or I want value axis. I got those. Okay. So I have title. I don't have my axis labels. Axis titles. There we go. So you can click on the add thing. You can add axis titles. And this one here, 0 to 180. We know that this is our resiliency scales. Whoops. Your resiliency scores. And this one is these are your Brahe Holmes. I guess I can spell it right. Holmes stress scores. And here you can see our friend who has the almost 800. It's kind of an outlier. Everybody else is sort of slightly down in here somewhere. So let's add another element to our chart. Let's add a trend line. The trend line shows us which direction our data points are moving, and you can barely see it's just barely slowly goes downward, but there's really hardly any data points that are following that line. We could also add more options here. We want trend line options. I want to display the equation on the chart because that way I can get my R squared, the percentage of overlap. So click on that and you'll see it's right here somewhere. Let's put it up here. So it didn't give me the equation I wanted, of course. display R squared. See, now that's what we're looking for. So R squared, remember that is the percentage of the overlap if you do a Venn diagram. So the overlap between our two data points is 0.0019. So they're barely touching if you want to, made a Venn diagram. So you guys do not have any relationship between your stress scores and your resiliency scores. Usually what we found is that students have, for the last few years, they've had about 7% overlap. So you guys are quite an anomaly. And this again will be different for each year that comes up. But that's how you do a chart. You can get rid of the title, because when you do figures in APA and put it into your paper, you don't need to have a title for that. But it's nice to have the resiliency scores and the names of the different scales so they know what's happening there. But that is how you do a correlation in Excel. And let's put down here too, R, lowercase r equals negative 0.0437. And that's it for how you do a correlation.